Assalamu alaikum students. Open your books at page 146. Today we are going to start unit 7 and the title of the unit is searching. We are going to start with our first story which is Muffo's Search and it is fiction. Fiction is actually unreal story, a story or a description which is not real but it is a kind of imaginary story. So it is about a boy, his name was Mifo, and he was 12 years old. He used to live with his mother, but after the demise of his mother, he continued living with his grandmother. But after his grandmother's death, he had to leave the place. Actually, his father worked in a mine in Johannesburg, and he had not seen him for many years. But unfortunately, when his grandmother died, he had to leave the place, he had to leave the farm, as the farmer accused him of stealing sheep. After a long truck journey to Soweto, he decided to search for his father. Now we will move toward the text of the story. Muffo's search. Paragraph 1. A lot of people were walking in one direction. Muffo decided to follow them. He did not know anything at all about where he was going, but was sure that something would turn up. As soon as he left the place that seemed to be terminus for taxis, terminus means bus stop, the roads were no longer tarred. They became increasingly narrow and were dusty and full of holes. They did not worry Muffo because he was used to country roads, nor did he mind the fact that soon there were no street lights because he was used to walking by moonlight on the farm. At first, he could see that there were big shops lining the road with great big advertisement on the walls. After this, the houses started. They were not as large as the houses on the farm, but they were solid and made out of bricks. Each one had a little yard, but there was very little growing there except for the old patch of mealies. Mifo thought that if he lived in one of these houses, he would make a lovely garden with peach trees and vegetable growing in it. Now we can say that from the paragraph 1, we have learned that many people were walking in one direction and he also started following them. The roads were not smooth, they were dusty and full of holes. There were no street lights, but the houses were made of bricks and had little yards. Now we will move toward the text of the paragraph 4. As he walked following the crowd, the houses became smaller and poorer, and these houses didn't even have yards. Some of the people went into the houses and turned up side streets, but Mafu followed those who were walking on. At last he saw where they were going. There was a big dusty space, and on it were built little kayas. Kayas are the poor places for the poor people to live. These were like the kayas where the people who had stolen the farmer's sheep lived. They were made of bits of corrugated iron and black plastic bags. Some of them were even made with pieces of wood or cardboard boxes. They looked as though they would fall down if you blew on them. Turn the page. Well, in paragraph 4, we have learned that as he followed the crowd, actually, some people went into these houses, but some continued moving. He came to a poor area where actually people, we can say, they lived in khayas. The khayas were the houses of poor people, and they were made of bits of corrugated iron, pieces of woods, and black plastic bags. Now move to paragraph 5. One old woman looked like Mafu's grandmother, and he went up to her. Mama, he said to her, I want somewhere to sleep. Where do you come from? And where are your mother and father? She asked him. I came from farm, answered Mifu. I have come to look for my father. My mother is dead, and so is my grandmother. I am tired, Mama. I must sleep. The old woman thought hard. All right, you can sleep in my house, but you must help me because I'm old and not strong anymore. You can leave your things with me. Then you must go and fetch water from the tap. Bring it in that can over there. Well, in this paragraph, we have came across that Muffo, actually, he came across an old woman who looked like his grandmother. He went to her and asked for staying with her. Old woman inquired about his family, and he told her that his mother is dead and his grandmother is also dead, and he is here in search of his father. She allowed to stay with her, but asked him that he should help her as she is old. He must bring water from tap in a can. Before did as he was told. He took the can and went to where the tap was. There was a long queue waiting for the water, and it took a long time before Mifo was able to reach the tap and fill the can. He listened to what the other in the queue were saying. He learned that there were only a few taps in the camp and that sometimes people had to wait many hours to get water, but they did not seem unhappy. They spoke together and laughed, and they believed that tomorrow would bring something better. Here, in these lines, in this paragraph, we have learned that on tap there was actually queue of people. It took him a long time to reach the tap and get water. He came to know that there were few taps of water in the camp, and the people have to wait for hours to get water, but they were happy and contented. They were happy that good time will come for them. So the lesson is done. Now turn the page and come to the question and answers. It is on page 150, and students, you have to do only question 2, 4, 5, and 6. You have to prepare the page, and question 2 is, why did Mifford not mind that there was no street light? And the answer is, Mifford did not mind the absence of street lights because he was used to walk by moonlight in the farm. The question next is, what were the khayas, the houses of poor people, made of? The answer is, khayas were made of bits of corrugated iron, black plastic bags, and pieces of wood. Question number 5. Why did Mifford decide to speak to the old woman? And the answer is, Mifford decided to speak to the old woman because she looked like his grandmother. In the question 6. Why did Mifford learn from the people in the water queue? The answer is, Mifford learned that there were few taps of water and people had to wait for hours to get water, but they were happy and contented. Lesson is done. Thank you.